Outstanding. Welcome. I'm Matthew Harrington, and we're going to talk about the CHW Network. Let me just get my share going here, and let's get into it. So, what we've got now is a bit of a siloed sort of regional, even organizational silos, um, and everyone's sort of doing their own thing, right? And when we expand our sandbox, play with others, we can have a lot more fun, a lot of more impact. And so I want to move from a silo concept to an ecosystem concept, and this is how I envision it happening, moving to a systemic collaborative approach to CHW training, promotion, and advocacy. And so if nothing changes, what happens for us? What does our reality look like from a CHW vantage point, right? Our community care organizations already experience high turnover. There's already inconsistency in funding. There's already a paradigm where CHW work is short-term work. And so the opportunity for a high pay is not there. It is high stress, right? Because you've got the financial stress of I'm going to need to find a job in a couple months once this program reps. But then also the work that you're doing with often populations that are experiencing their lowest moments, right? Um, and the changing responsibilities, all of these things are incredibly stressful in and of themselves. And when they compound, right? It becomes multiplicative. And so right now, CHWs operate in silos. They're unsupported largely, or not to the extent that they need to be supported, right? And they're hard to retain. The nature of this position, in many of these positions, excuse me, not all, um, leads them to continue looking for employment opportunities. Which means that once the training is invested in them, once the experience has been developed in them, no sooner does that happen than they go. And who's that fun for? Nobody, right? The clients in those scenarios experience disjointed care, public perception, advocacy suffers, right? Suffers. So the way in which it seems this work is being done is impacted, frankly, and funders struggle to see the impact, right? What is the value of a CHW? It's a sad question for folks to ask, but that's what happens. And so, what is it we don't see that's happening for CHWs? We know about the client support, we know about the outreach events, we know about the metrics, but we don't often get a sense of all that undergirds that. The documentation, the work stress, the emotional labor, the inconsistency of training and how that's it impacts and detracts from the work, the missed opportunities of collaboration or just not even being on each other's calendars from organization to organization, even in the same city, and those shifting roles, right? And so, how can we be effective when what we're asked to do and how we're asked to serve and be in community continues to change? What I propose are two tracks for CHWs, and then sort of a central theme of community. And the early career folks, the early career CHWs, would get ongoing support, sort of on a monthly basis. They'd have CEUs available to them to help them up level their appreciation of the work, gather some tools to help them be more effective, feel a sense of community in what they're doing, um, just by virtue of being in the same class with others who are doing this work and have an interest in the CEU that's being offered. And then the veterans would be on more of an awareness and advocacy track where they'd work directly with me in doing promotion, right? Creating social media posts, podcasting, interviewing each other's, developing curriculum, right? Leveraging their experience and perspectives and awareness that I certainly don't have on my own. And so, what are those? What are the opportunities here? Well, we're going to have ongoing training opportunities. Like I said, in quarterly in-person trainings, monthly CEUs will have access to past trainings. Where is that going to be housed? I'll get to it in a second. We'll do some curation of training topics, right? I'll be reaching out to directors and CHWs to ask what they feel CHWs need to know. And there'll be a central platform for this called School, where there's a calendar of events, where there's a community for CHWs, and that will all be managed by Heck. What is School? Oh, what the heck is School, right? Um, I'm corny. It's a platform, and you can see this is a screenshot of a community that I run, where all of these things are coordinated for us. It has a format more or less similar to Facebook, which has been around now for 18 years and is really familiar to folks. Um, you've got community, you've got a classroom, right? That's where various classes would be housed, a calendar, right? So we'd share information about what's happening in terms of trainings, in terms of events, in terms of outreach opportunities, or even just, chances to um, rub elbows, right? Get on a call with each other. Um, and folks would just post, hey, I have this question. And then off of those posts, folks would answer, right? Respond, hey, this is a document you'll need. Don't forget to handle this. You should coordinate with these folks just to make sure, so forth and so on, right? It is an always on learning and leadership platform. And this is in using this for now 2 years. It's something that I know can have benefit for communities that make use of it. And I think it could be of use to our CHWs. So there's existing infrastructure around this also. I'm already doing this work. Um, and the thrust is we want to tell the stories. We want to add context to the stories, and we want to build awareness, right? Which will facilitate our public perception as well as our funder advocacy efforts. And so, and that the fact that we're recording video to YouTube, making it available to folks to see and learn from, and then also collecting stories just in audio format, right? So you can access them on Spotify. We want to reach people where they are in a format that makes sense for them. And it's going to be different depending on where and when we engage with them. So what partner organizations get, this is their return on investment, right? Retention. You get improved retention through purpose and peer connection. There's a validation of the work, right? When I can talk to other people about what I do, who understand what I do, right? Who are doing similar work or maybe have done that work. We can see and appreciate our impact just a bit more. We hear the stories of others. We know that we're making a difference. It's a stronger onboarding with structured CEU system, right? So if you got someone who's entering, oh, no, mid-grant, right? You're a few months in, you've got a team of people who've been doing it for a number of months, and someone just comes on board, right? How do you get them upskilled without detracting from what's already happening? This is another option for that, right? That those trainings would be housed there, that the learning or discussion from previous queries exists on the platform. It's always going to be there for folks to sort of research, and there's a search mechanism there where you can say home visitation, right, and search that up. But what were the concepts around home visitation? How did that discussion go? Oh wait, who was talking about home visitation? Well, I can just reach out to them directly. So there's a direct messaging function within School as well. Access to an always-on learning platform and community, right? I just think that's really key. The real-time feedback loops for training effectiveness and support, right? That we can reach out in sort of a post, but we can also reach out directly, I think is really critical. And then the collaboration, right, can lead to duplication across the region, duplication of the effective things, not duplication of efforts, right? Not redundancy, but better coordination. And so what's the ask? The ask is that you support this concept, right? Nominate pilots, CHWs to be a part of this, to talk to me, to hop on the podcast, or even just offer feedback to the existing collateral. Participate in the school community. It's $10 a month per seat. Not a big ask. Again, you add that up over the course of a year. It's $120 of training very high level training, cultivated, curated training. Um, that's always there for folks. $120 a year. I mean, it's wild. And give feedback, right? What are your training priorities? What are the things you see out there that we really need to know about? Talk about the existing collateral, right? What do you think? How could this be improved? Gosh, I've been doing this stuff on my own for the past 6 months now. I need help. I want feedback. I want feedback from people who know what this work is and can see it. Can see what's really needed in forwarding the CHW story, right? And get our the advocacy of our needs out there. So use this infrastructure to amplify our work, essentially, is my ask. Um, Thanks. That's my time. Here's how to get in touch with me. If you want to check out the Spotify, the YouTube, those are both linked there. You want to book some time with me, I would love to chat. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.